Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, and today I'm making a video covering Khrome Werks baffles and inserts. I'm going to show you on our 2024 Roadglide with our Khrome Werks 4.5-inch slip-ons the before and after sound of what it sounds like the way the muffler comes, as well as what happens when you use something like the Ripper insert or the DB plug or many of the different options. We'll go over these in detail. I'll let you hear it before, I'll let you hear it after. We'll even do some writing to let you know which one is the right choice for you. All right, so this is a continuation or the second video in a series about the Khrome Werks mufflers on our new 2024 model Roadglide. The bike that we're using is a base model. It has the 117 cubic inch engine, and right now I think it sounds phenomenal because I really like the tone of a Khrome Werks muffler just the way it comes. But we know not everybody's the same, and a lot of you have had questions. I hope that this video helps answer on what do each one of these baffles exist for, what do they sound like, and why would I need them on my Harley in my Khrome Werks exhaust. So let's do a quick rundown of the different parts that we're going to talk about. We're going to start here with their part number is going to be 1801-1143. We call it the plug. This is going to be an insert that goes inside the end of the muffler to lower the total sound. If you're in one of the states that has a noise ordinance or compliance that you have to pass a yearly inspection, this would go in to cut that sound down and make that muffler quiet enough to pass, but yet you can easily take this in and out. So after you pass, you can go back to having a good sounding exhaust. Next, we're going to have what they call the Ripper, part number 1860-1870. When you put this in, it is just a piece of pipe that is going to make all the sound try to come straight out the end of the muffler, and a lot less of that exhaust is going to go through the fiberglass packing that's in there from the factory. It's going to make it louder, and it's going to give it a sound, well, I think Ripper is a really good term for it. It's also going to give you a little more torque having this insert installed. Next, we're going to have one that is going to add some to the sound over not having it, so it's going to be a little louder. It's also going to add some additional torque, and the way it's designed, it actually is a twirl inside, so that exhaust is going to be put into a spiral. It's also going to be, some of it is going to be fed into each one of these inserts, which is going to change that tone without being as loud as that Ripper insert. Last but not, and that was an 1860-1818. They call this the Louvered baffle instead of the Ripper baffle. And then we have our performance baffle. This one's very interesting. It's going to feed the exhaust in, force it to the outside of this tube. You're going to spend a little bit more time with that exhaust on that fiberglass packing, which should lower that tone. It's also going to lower the overall output. So if you want your exhaust to be quieter, still have a deep tone, but also add some torque, this particular one, the performance baffle, is going to be the one for you. They call it a torque monster and a dB reducer. Enough talking about each one of these. They're all available at volunteeraudio.com. Just go to the baffle section. We'll be throwing up links throughout the video to those, but we also want to give you what it sounds like without them. So let's get to the before footage. Let's let you hear what it sounds like with our factory exhaust. We can throw that up from the previous video. We'll follow it up with what these Khrome Werks 4.5-inch sound like on this bike. I think it sounds great. And then we'll show you just how easy each one is to install, and we'll give you that before and after for each one of these baffles. So keep watching. All right, so first I'm going to show you how to install our quietest option, what we call the plug. But the first step is you're going to have to take the tip off of your Khrome Werks muffler. So you're going to need a 5/32 Allen head to do that. You're going to see that there's a screw in the side toward the inside of the motorcycle and one on the bottom. And we need to remove both of those in preparation to remove this tip. After you have both of your bolts out, you're gonna have to grab this and you're gonna have to wiggle it and get it out. You definitely don't wanna mess up the finish, so don't be smacking around on it with a hammer, but you may have to do quite a bit of wiggling to get it to come loose and come out. All right, so I've got it out. Now you're gonna see when you look up inside the muffler, there are 2 pre-threaded holes. Each one of your baffles is gonna come with the insert, but it's also gonna come with bolts to go in here. All right, to install your baffle, you're gonna use 2 of the bolts of the 4 they send you. They're a 7/16 or an 11 millimeter. So just take your insert, get it inside the muffler, line up your bolts with each one of these pre-threaded holes. Then using a ratchet, go ahead and tighten each one of them up. Now, if you're gonna leave these in here, I'm not Loctiting them today because we're gonna be changing these out over and over to let you hear the differences. But I would also tell you to put a little blue Loctite on these bolts to make sure they don't come loose over time and create a rattle. All right, so when you put your tip back on, you just wanna make sure that you've got all of your holes lined up. Normally on your Khrome Werks tips, there can be a left and right version. So you wanna make sure you put your logos facing outward. All right, I'll get these tightened up and we'll move on to the next one. All right, so we have both of our plug inserts installed in our mufflers. Now, here's the part where I want to tell you, you need a nice set of quality headphones or a home audio system to play this. You're not going to use the little speaker on the end of your phone and be able to listen to this and tell a big difference in tone and deepness of tone. It's a lot of bassy tones that your phone's not going to reproduce. But we'll give you an idea of just how loud it is and the tone. And again, if you want to do this in detail, you need a nice set of headphones. All right, so first impressions just sitting here is it's not as bad as I thought. I really thought by blocking it off with that plug as much as it did, it would be a lot quieter. This is still a little louder than the factory muffler. It still has a much deeper tone, but it's going to get you by in those areas where they won't allow you to have a very loud exhaust. Especially a lot of the people that watch us are over in Europe. I know they have some really strict sound ordinances there. This is going to allow you to pass those tests, but still have a good tone. Let's move on. I'm going to drive it down the road. We'll show you that riding footage. After that, we'll be putting the Ripper baffle in, which should be the loudest one. We'll see how big a difference it is between those two. All right, so I just pulled the bike back in the garage. Man, these plug inserts are significantly lower in volume, especially while riding. I think you've seen that in the footage. But now let's put the Ripper in. I'll take the tips off, take these out. We'll put the Ripper in place, see just how loud these can get. So we just started up with the Ripper baffle installed, and the first impression is it's got a little bit more of that wow sound to it, and much better for me to let you hear it in actual reality than me try to make the noises. So let's take it down the road. We're going to see what it sounds like under a load, see just how much louder it is than that plug or the way it was before we did any insert at all. right, so I just got back from riding the bike. We just pulled into the garage with the Ripper baffles installed. And the Ripper is what it says. It's going to make it have a little more of a low tone with some popping and cracking on deceleration. Like the sound is just ripping out of the muffler, but it's not as loud as you'd think because we still have a factory head pipe. We still have a catalytic converter in place that's cutting that sound down. I'm sure if you had 2-into-2 duals or the 2-into-1 where it deleted the catalytic converter, it would be a lot louder. But between the stock way that it comes from Khrome Werks and installing this baffle, it's a little louder and it has that deceleration pop and crack like an old glass pack muffler on an older pickup truck in a low gear. It has some of that tone to it. Let's move on. Let's try some of our performance baffles. Actually, the next one we're going to be doing is what we call the HP Plus Louvered baffle. So we'll take the Ripper out, we'll put this in, and last we'll do that performance torque monster. So we'll get this put in. This one's also considered one of the torque monsters. By adding some back pressure, it's going to increase your torque. We're going to see how big a difference we have in tone. This actually looks like the inside of the old glass pack mufflers, so I expect to have a little bit more of that deceleration pop and crack as well. I'll get the tips off, I'll get the baffles changed out. We'll let you hear them here in just a second. All right, so we just got installed the Louvered baffle. So out with the Rippers, in with the Louvered. Should give us a little less overall sound while keeping that low tone, but still give us some of that deceleration pop. Let's see what it sounds like on startup. So it does have a little bit louder tone, I think, than it had before, but I do hear a little bit of that resonating, that popping, cracking on the edges. Let's take it down the road, hear what it's going to sound like under a load and on that deceleration point, and see just how loud it really is. All right, so just got back again. This seems like a repetitive sequence, and it kind of is. But we went from the DB plug, the reducer to make it quiet, to the Ripper baffle, which was a little louder and a little raspier with a little bit more deceleration, pop and crack. To the last one we did was the Louvered, and I'll go and tell you, I like the Louvered. It sounds great. It has the same low tone that I like about the Khrome Werks exhaust, yet it added some of that popping and cracking in it. That a little bit of that old school muscle car sound to it that I really like. So sounds really good. We have one more to go. Next will be the performance baffle. So we'll be putting this performance baffle in. We'll go ahead and do that same test, that same riding. There are going to be several other specs you need to take into consideration other than just sound. A lot of these are going to change how much horsepower or torque you have and what that curve looks like. We should have graphs and information on that inside the listing for each one. So definitely check out each one of these baffles, each one of these inserts, I guess you'd call it, at volunteeraudio.com. Just go to the Khrome Werks exhaust category and you'll see tips and baffles. Click there and you'll see each one in greater detail. But let's get these installed and let's go for a ride. All right, so this is our fourth baffle we're trying today, and we're going to have at the end of the video, we'll do a very quick video sequence with each one of them side by side to make it easier to tell the differences. This last one's called the performance baffle. We just did before this, we did what was called the Louvered baffle. Before that, we did the Ripper and then the plug. Let's see what this one sounds like. This is supposed to give you the most torque, yet it's also supposed to increase the decibel level some. So let's see what that does. It's kind of a cross between a Ripper and that Louvered version. So we're going to start it up. Let's see what it sounds up from startup. so I just got back from the final run, riding with the last of our 4 baffles. So the last one was a performance baffle. It was a little quieter than the Louvered. Didn't quite have as good a tone, in my opinion, as the Louvered baffle did. And I think overall, out of the 4, my favorite is that Louvered sound because it has the deep, low tone that I've come to expect from Khrome Werks. With that being said, we're all different. We hear different, and I hope that you'll take the time to listen to each of the clips following me here in just a second, side by side, to see that comparison between each one. The dB reducer wasn't as quiet as I thought it would be, had a really good sound, and I think for the people who want that Harley tone, but they don't want it overwhelmingly loud, it may be a good option if the Khrome Werks muffler is too loud for you. I think it sounds great out of the box. All of these baffles have a good sound. None of them were as wild as I thought they were going to be. I thought that Ripper would be just way too much. It was definitely more aggressive, but it wasn't overly aggressive. I thought the Louvered had a great low tone, and the performance baffle definitely still sounded good. We've come to expect a great sound from Khrome Werks, and they've delivered in all of these situations. But on top of that, it's an American-made quality part. So if you buy one of these baffles, you know it's going to work and last for years and years to come. Thank you. So you just got to hear that side-by-side comparison. Definitely comment below and let me know which one you like the most. Which one is the sound that you would normally go for? Let's call it a poll. Let's do that real quick. Comment now. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions about it, also comment. I'll be quick to respond to those. Subscribe to Volunteer Audio on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. We're going to make more videos like this. We're going to let you know more about Harley accessories, whether that be amazing audio systems or lighting or exhaust, any of the performance things that you're wanting. We're going to be showing those different videos throughout time to be the first to know about the new stuff as it comes out by subscribing and following us. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions about ordering any of these products, they're at volunteeraudio.com in our Khrome Werks exhaust section. But you can also call our knowledgeable sales staff at 1-844-30-AUDIO. We'd love to go over any of those questions with you and help you find the right part for your bike. Our goal in these videos is always to educate you, to inform you, and make sure you buy the right part the first time and we don't waste any money. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.